right now we have talk about its national ID card, and because of this whole Arizona situation, and we have this census going on with the U.S. government, and India's census is going on right now, where everybody's being fingerprinted and photographed. I'm sure it's digitally for a new national ID card. And it's interesting that as we are having this census, during the time of Jesus' first coming, we had a census. Isn't that interesting, the parallels? Why are we going to have this cashless, checkless society with a new ID system and implanted microchips? As I read Mark Hitchcock's book on the cashless society, I kind of added some of the things that he mentioned, the reasons why we are going into a cashless society. Because it'll create a perfect utopia, a perfect society with virtually no crime. It's amazing when you think about the benefits of a cashless society and a new identification system. And who's going to get all the glory? The antichrist. Because he is going to force everyone to receive a mark in their right hand or forehead. But think about it. If you've been on a trip, say to a foreign country, you have to stand in line for passports. And it's such a pain, to stand in these long immigration lines. And by the way, the passports now are microchipped. Did you know that? My new passport I got it has a microchip in it, so it's kind of interesting. The illegal immigration problem of Arizona, they're pushing for a national ID card where these illegal immigrants are coming over, and they cannot work unless you have this national ID card. That's the push anyway. Healthcare reform. Now, for years, the healthcare people were saying we need a new ID card for healthcare recipients. What if this person has diabetes or he has certain medical things? We can access his records right from a scanner to the EMT people, from the ambulances. And this was a great idea. Think of a microchip implant on everybody that has the databases that can relay all of this information to a nurse or a doctor instantly. Of course, a cashless society would eliminate embezzlement, embezzlement, tax fraud, drug trafficking, prostitution, illegal gambling, money laundering. I was mentioning to the 8:30 service that these markets, what do you call that? Farmers markets. We have one up in Manoa. We have Kapilani Community College, and these vendors, they take in a lot of money, especially in a Kapilani. How many of you been to that KCC farmers market? It's super busy. I mean, there's a lot of Japanese tourists, and they only use cash. There's no debit card or Visa card scanners. I haven't seen one anyway. But there's a push to eliminate these vendors, these farmers markets, because a lot of them, they take in $400 or $500 a day. And they may claim, well, it was a bad day. I brought in only $40, $50. So the state loses out on all of these lost revenues from taxes. And all of these markets are losing these revenues. The big box stores like Costco, Best Buy, these huge mega Sam's Club, they're going to run out all of these mom and pop stores out of business. And I think that's a prediction. Why? Because these mom and pop stores, you see these signs, cash only. I'll share with you a real quick story. I think I shared it last year. I was at Dae in that, what do you call that, EBT line, or the line that's supposed to go the fastest anyway, cash only. So I'm waiting behind this old lady, and it's supposed to be the fastest line, right? Cash only. And the cashier says $14.65. She takes out her wallet. She goes, $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, and she brings out this whole wad of loose change, 25 cents, 50 cents. And I'm standing there, I'm going, oh, you got to be kidding me. It's going to take forever. And, I'm trying to be patient, but cash is not the fastest way to go. And I'm sure a lot of you pay at the pumps, right? You don't use cash, you pay at the pumps. And a lot of you have direct debit, you have debit cards. But anyway, it eliminates the problem of fugitives because you have a trail, a paper trail. That I mentioned this fugitive from Utah was on the loose, and he had like $100,000 in cash, and they couldn't find this guy because he was paying with everything in cash. He paid for the hotels in cash, rent-a-cars in cash, restaurants in cash. They couldn't find him. If you were on a cashless society system where he had to pay everything by card or implant a microchip, they catch him right away because there's a paper trail. It tells you exactly where this guy is going. So there's a lot of benefits. The elimination of identity theft, the elimination of counterfeiting, the elimination of bank robberies and store holdups, eliminate the cost of printing money. Do you know how much money it costs just to print money? I mean, it's millions, billions of dollars we have to constantly print new money. Mark Hitchcock came up with something interesting that it'll eliminate the spread of disease by money. You know how much disease money has? Yeah. Every time your children touch money, you tell them, wash your hands, right? Convenience. There's no bulky coins. There's faster transactions and the elimination of global currency. So what will push us into a national ID? A national ID or a new money system or a cashless society? I think we're going to go into a new identification system first before we go into a cashless society. And I believe the key to push us into a new national ID card would be a terrorist attack on the United States. And there's been so much talk that intelligence, Israeli intelligence are saying that terrorists are already in the United States, waiting to hit the United States. But in Luke 21, it says there will be distress of nations with perplexity. Now, what would cause men's hearts failing them for fear for what's coming upon the earth? Could it be a Katrina or a Banda Aceh earthquake, tsunami, or maybe a F7 tornado, maybe not 3/4 miles long, but maybe 2-3 miles long? I mean, what does it take? God is really trying to get our attention here because He's saying that time is short. We need to be ready. The Christians need to get their house in order. We need to see that we need to have different priorities in our lives. Now, in that scripture of Luke 21, Jesus also says that there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. There has always been signs in the sun, moon, and stars, but lately, there's so many clear evidences of what Jesus is speaking about. The latest event that prophecy writers are talking about is the solar flares or the solar storms that's going to happen either next year or the year after. This writer says, every 11 years there's a sunspot cycle. Some of them are much more dramatic than others. We are due supposedly for a very dramatic sunspot cycle. The last time there was one this dramatic was in 1950s, but that was back before we had satellites and a lot of complicated electrical grids. Richard Fisher, a leader with the NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, says that the Earth and space are about to come into contact in a way that is new to human history, adding that the sun is waking up from a deep slumber, and in the next few years we can expect to see much higher levels of solar activity. The National Academy of Sciences has warned that a century-class solar storm could cause 20 times more economic damage than Hurricane Katrina did several years ago. There's also this galactic alignment